so much collective wisdom here. My name is Crystal Leach. I am one of the program officers in the engineering directorate for the IUCRC program. And I'm joined with by several of my IUCRC colleagues on the screen as well. So we've got folks representing engineering, size, chemistry, bio, SBE, and Geo all here today. So we've got the full contingent of IUCRC program officers. And our whole purpose here today is really to share and to gather information and to share it collectively with the group. So we call these our PI community meetings, right? And the whole purpose of them is to have a virtual forum where our PI community can come together to share best practices and ultimately strengthen our center and our programs. I've been with NSF, gosh, about 18 months now. And when I first joined, I heard a lot of, which was during the pandemic, a lot of comments about previous meetings where they've been able to gather the IUCRC community face-to-face. And obviously we haven't been able to do that lately. But so we put these these meetings together to at least accomplish some of what happened in those meetings, which is what we like to call peer-to-peer learning, right? We like to say that we're really leveraging the power of the IUCRC community. Candidly, the folks who are on the ground are the folks who know most about how to, what the challenges are in running an IUCRC and what the best tips are and the best practices are. And so that's what we want to hear. So we have these once a quarter. It's a different topic, and we actually sourced those topics from this community. And so in that sense, we're trying to listen to kind of what your questions are, but also leverage your peers to help share those best practices. One of the topics that came up when we polled the community was supplements, right? NSF has a lot of supplements, a lot of various supplements. We want to talk specifically today about our workforce development supplements, right? These are really a powerful tool for, first of all, strengthening your centers and bringing in extra funding, and also really helping build a robust talent pipeline. We talk to IUCRC members all the time, and almost without fail, they say to us, yeah, the research is really great, but man, the talent, the student aspect is so critical to me and such an important reason why I'm there. And so in addition to the talent building opportunities within your center that normally come through an IUCRC, these workforce development supplements really provide an amazing way to expand the connectivity between your center, students, and your IAB. So today we want to spend a little time talking about them. We're going to start out with myself and some of my NSF colleagues talking a little bit about what supplements are available, how our IUCRC community is leveraging those supplements, and then also some considerations for applying. And then finally, after that, we are going to hear from some of your peers, right? So the whole purpose of these meetings all year have been to hear from other center personnel about what they're doing and how they are leveraging these programs in their center or managing these challenges within their center. And we have two of our center directors today who are going to share their input with us. One is Dr. Ranil Wickramasinghe, who is a center director of MAST. And the other is Dr. Tim McLean, who was the center director of CUAS and is currently now, which is kind of ending its run, and is currently involved with the relatively new center, CAAMS. So we'll get to those folks in a second. We'll have plenty of time for your questions at the end as well. One of my colleagues, Rebecca Farrell, will sort of help curate those questions. So if you have questions during the session, please feel free to put them in chat, and we'll answer them in chat if we can. If not, we'll curate them and hold on to them until the end. So there will be plenty of time for your questions as well. So with that, I think I am going to go on, and we're going to ask my colleague Prakash Balan to join me as we talk about sort of some overall information on the supplements, right? So, you know, one of the things that we really talk about with IUCRCs is that there's sort of this unique opportunity, right? Because the industry advisory board is so closely connected with the center and the students. they have such a unique opportunity for talent development and recruiting, right? It's like the perfect storm, the perfect microcosm for bringing industry and students together. And there's a lot of ways that you can leverage your center to build a diverse STEM talent pipeline. There's ways to do that with sort of the direct engagement of your IAB with students through the project. So the normal mentoring that an IAB does for students on their projects. A lot of centers have additional experiential and professional development opportunities that their IAB provides, webinars, coaching, training. And then the next way is through the NSF workforce development supplements. And that's what we're going to focus on today. But again, just to remind you, this is sort of one element of many things you can do within your center to continue to strengthen and build your center and the talent development aspect of your center. That's valuable for your students, but also very valuable for your IAB members. And I will just say, the picture there is actually I'm a rotator. So I'm sort of on loan from my home institution. And at that time, I was part of an IUCRC. And the picture that you see there is one of the graduate students from our center talking to one of our IAB members. And I happen to say that I just got a text from this graduate student over the Thanksgiving holiday, and she's starting a job. So it really does work in real life that way. All right. So maybe just a couple points about sort of the IUCRC supplement situation, right? So there is a long, rich history of our IUCRCs sort of recognizing how important these supplements are to building and strengthening the STEM pipeline. So we've taken a little look and seen what's happened over the past 5 years, right? So over the past 5 years, the IUCRC program across all the various supplements have had almost 500 individual supplements. 75 centers have taken advantage of these supplements. Over 850 students have had increased opportunity because of these supplements, and this total almost over $14 million, right? So that's a big impact. And that's why we want to talk about it today, because not only are we excited that you've been doing all that, but candidly, we want to see you do more. We want to see you broaden what you do. We want to see more centers become more engaged. So we want to talk a little bit now about the supplements that are available and the programs that are available. And then again, like I said, after that, we'll hear from some of your colleagues. So I'll talk just a bit about sort of what are the available supplements, right? And then we're going to spend some time talking about a couple of them particularly. So first of all, I've kind of have these grouped, right? So there are supplements that really focus on an individual student or one or two students who are doing their research at the university, right? So supplemental funding, REU, research experience for undergrads, that fund one or two students from your center doing research, right? I want to call attention to the fact that there are not just undergraduate students. There's also an RET program and a VRS program that are aligned with this. RET, research experience for teachers. So that allows you to reach out for K through 12 teachers and bring them in. And then research opportunities for veterans, right? This is a really impactful, important supplement that we're going to talk about and show later, where we see, honestly, maybe there's continued and more opportunity to leverage VRS. But if you've got individual one or two students for your center to support, REU, RET, and VRS are a great way. If you want to think about graduate students, then really the opportunity, an amazing opportunity, is our intern program. And this is a program that's highly leveraged. It's not just for IUCRC, it's across NSF, right? But the intern program provides internships for graduate students. So we know that within science and engineering, less than 30% of PhDs who graduate are going to go on into the academy. Over 70% of science and engineering PhDs who graduate are going to go into industry or other non-academic careers. So programs like intern are great at helping them and preparing them to go beyond their academic experience and go out into industry and government. The intern program is a program that an NSF funded PI applies for a supplement, and in that supplement pays for a graduate student to go out and do an internship in a non-academic environment. So a lot of times this is considered industry, but it's federal labs, federal agencies, nonprofits, startups, other industries. So any non-academic experience up to 6 months, it is an amazing opportunity for graduate students candidly, they did some data where we just polled some of these graduate students, and literally they would say things like, this changed my life. This internship changed the future of my career. So really impactful. So if you have graduate students who are associated with your center, who could participate and take advantage of an opportunity outside of that, especially, it doesn't have to be one of your IAB members, but it's awesome if it is one of your IAB members. It's a great opportunity to provide students for that. And one thing I do want to call attention to is this supplement actually is available for international students. REUs, most of our workforce development student supplements are available only for American citizens, US citizens. Intern is open to international students. I'm going to hold on START because we're going to spend a couple of slides deep diving into that. It's one of our newest supplements and candidly one of our most exciting, because it really helps us broaden and reach out into the two-year college community. So I'll hold on that one for a second. Another recent supplement for us is something called REM, Research Experience for Mentoring. So if you think about not just an individual student, but maybe a cohort of students where you define the cohort, REM is an excellent opportunity for that, right? So 5 or 6 students that may be first generation, students that may be K through 12, students that can be any sort of cohort that your academic institution or your center has a strong affiliation with. REM is a really interesting program to explore. It's a relatively new supplement for IUCRC, so some of you may not be aware of it. And what's really interesting about it is if you think about the M, the mentoring part, like in an IUCRC, you truly have built-in mentors, right? I mean, your IAB, like what an awesome opportunity to leverage your IAB and think about putting forward proposals that really speak to having strong industrial mentors. So the REM program is really something to consider if you have sort of larger scale opportunity to focus on a research experience. And then the last program I want to highlight is we do have funding for senior design projects in IUCRCs. So if you have an institution or organization where you can leverage this for incremental funding for senior design projects, this is really a powerful supplement. So I know that's a lot of information. We're going to have a way for you to leverage all this and see more about this in the chat, but I just wanted to give a high level overview of the programs, right? So programs for individual students, programs for groups, programs that focus on specific cohorts, veterans, specific groups, two-year education opportunities. So really, there's a wide variety of supplements, and depending on what you want to achieve and what your center wants to achieve, there's really great opportunity for you to do that. So I'm going to go on now, and Prakash, I'm going to ask you, actually, before we do that, I want to make one point. Prakash, we're going to ready and hit the slides on START in just a second. One of the things we talk about a lot is that supplements are just an awesome opportunity to really think about really broadening and getting a more diverse STEM pipeline. We know that the best ideas happen when the most diverse minds are at the table, right? And an opportunity to do that and to get more diverse minds and more diverse students in our pipeline are through these supplements. So we really encourage you to think about these workforce development supplements as an excellent opportunity to engage students who may be in either underserved or underrepresented groups. It's a great opportunity to think about that broader impact aspect of what you do and specific funding opportunities to address that. All right. So Prakash, I'll ask you to maybe talk a little bit about START.
Thank you, Crystal. And folks, I want to emphasize that last point Crystal made. These supplemental opportunities are a terrific way for you to really bring individuals who normally don't get access to STEM activities, to really not just give them the opportunity, but inspire them to pursue those opportunities and take full advantage of the rich diversity of projects and experiences that your center offers. So with that in mind, a couple of years ago, the IUCRC team worked with Dr. Celeste Carter, who leads the Advanced Technological Education program at NSF. And we tried to identify a way for the students nationwide who are in what we call two-year institutes of higher education. These are typically community colleges or technical colleges for those students and faculty to get the opportunity to work on cutting edge, use-inspired, industrially relevant projects and get trained for careers after they finish out. So the NSF ATE program supports a wide range of institutions nationwide in a lot of very exciting topics. And I'm going to defer to Celeste to sort of weigh in on this, because she can give us a lot more color on this, on the breadth and diversity of that community. And then we'll move on to tell you more about the specific opportunity that we have created to work with two-year institutes of higher education. So Celeste.
Thank you, Prakash. And it's a pleasure to be here today. As Prakash said, ATE is about educating the skilled technical workforce, and it does cover a very broad range of topical areas, many of which are very similar to what I see when I go to the map and look at the directory of IUCRC centers. ATE has a National Center on Autonomous Technologies dealing with drones, with agriculture, with marine remotely operated vehicles as well. So that's just one center that's there. I think one thing that's very similar is everyone who has an award through the ATE program has committed industry partners. So I think one of the sort of return on investments for an IUCRC might be you could increase the industry members that are on your IAB, because anyone from ATE is going to bring probably new partners that would be very interested in what's going on at the IUCRC site. As Prakash said, this is for both faculty and students. And we actually added a new twist to this, because a lot of times with the two-year students, we were getting some supplements in and they said, well, we identified students at the two-year college and they've already moved on. So there's now an opportunity to partner a two-year and a four-year student working together. This is something that came about. We have another center at Clemson University that deals with automotive and Air Force technological education. And they have had REU supplements for years where they partner two-year students from the technical colleges in South Carolina with four-year students from Clemson, and it's been incredibly successful. So as this next slide shows you, this is the current active ATE projects and centers. This is at atecentral.net, our repository of kind of everything about ATE. One of the requirements for an ATE project and center is that people archive with ATE Central, which is housed at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, all of the materials that are developed. And although you can see there's some holes there within the map, over the years, every state and majority of territories have actually received ATE awards. And so there's a great opportunity there. I'd also say when you look at the two-year institutions of higher education, both community and technical colleges, and you think about DEI, right? One of the buzzwords that's coming out currently across the total entity of the federal government, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Two-year community and technical colleges are places where you're going to find a lot of those students that have been underserved. First-generation college students, more than 25% of Latino or Latinx students are on community college campuses. African American, you name it. There's a tremendous population there. Another thing with the two-year institutions is a lot of the people there, the average age is about 27. So typically you may not be dealing with someone who has just moved to a technical college or community college from high school, although that may not be the case. But there's also a broad range of people that are at a community college for very different reasons. A lot of times life reasons. Family is there. That's their community. So these are different opportunities that are open to all IUCRC sites as well as to the ATE awardees. So that's one thing with this supplement, is that an ATE awardee can submit a supplement to work with an IUCRC, as well as the IUCRC being able to reach out to any community and technical college. So it doesn't even have to be an HE awardee. I think when this Dear Colleague letter first came out with this supplement opportunity, Prakash forwarded an email to me from one of the IUCRC directors saying, this is a tremendous opportunity. I've tried to break through the barrier and talk to my local community college and haven't gotten anywhere. But with this kind of an opportunity now available, I think this is going to be successful. So this is really what we were hoping would happen with START was that we would build more partnerships. ATE does focus on students with a 2-year degree moving usually into industry, but that's not the only thing that happens. I think we've got some pretty interesting results with the current awardees of these supplements, and quite a few of the students have actually said, I may not have thought about it initially, but I'm moving on to a 4-year degree. And I know one of the students who just presented at our Principal Investigators Conference was at Pasadena City College. Her poster at the PI conference showed that she's now a student at MIT. So her IUCRC site was Caltech, and she was accepted as a transfer student at MIT. So that's kind of the possibilities that are there. So I think it's an incredible opportunity for all of you. I think it's an opportunity for students. It's an opportunity for faculty, and it's going to build a lot more sort of community interest in what the IUCRCs are doing in their region. One of the things is that if you think about those 2-year institutions, a lot of times they can be seen as the drivers of economic development and viability in a region. So it's going to tie the IUCRC sites into more of that. It won't be, oh yeah, that's the Ivory Tower IUCRC we don't really know what those scientists do in those buildings. It's going to bring it down to a thought of, well, this is really critical research. This is things that's going to impact our community and our students. So with that, let me turn it back over to Prakash.
Thank you, Celeste. That was excellent and really very insightful on the big picture relative to the ATE program and the aspirations of these of the participants particularly. But folks, we wanted to highlight a very key evolutionary change that we made to the Dear Colleague letter, and that is that it's highlighted. That's a red bullet that we've highlighted there. So as you traditionally think about bringing undergraduates into your center projects, so you would be thinking of submitting an REU request, right? We encourage you to push the envelope, right? So if you've already thought of a good project for an undergraduate student, why not reach out into the 2-year institutions in your area or even across the country and open the door to participants, students, and faculty to work on that project, which is in any case strongly aligned with your center's research activities, and create a hybrid team. You've got 4-year undergraduates partnered with 2-year students and faculty, 2-year institution students and faculty, and bring them together. And that project becomes highly responsive to the START program, the START Dear Colleague letter. So think out of the box. If you're thinking traditional REU, we're not saying you can make each and every REU request of yours one of those broader opportunities, but the opportunity does exist, and we, in the interest of broadening participation and really providing rich opportunities, we would strongly encourage you to consider at least exploring that actively before you come to us for a further discussion on the supplement that you want to bring forth. So keep that in mind. And we do provide good support, funding support. If you look at the Dear Colleague letter, there's a lot of support for the participants, both on the IUCRC side as well as the community college student and faculty team. And we also provide salary for graduate students to provide training and mentorship for the participants. And so the funding support is very broad and very deep. So look at the Dear Colleague letter. The shortcut to the Dear Colleague letter is easy to remember. You do not have to remember a number. It's just nsf.gov/start. I mean, we couldn't make it simpler than that for you. So, right. So you'll never forget this Dear Colleague letter. Similarly, on the other Dear Colleague letter, it's /intern. All right. You'll find it. It's easy. All right. So we have had some great initial response. This program is barely 2 years old, and we have 23 universities that have participated, close to 40 community college faculty, and 124 community college students have been trained on IUCRC projects. And we hope this number will grow substantially. When we look back on, let's say, the past 10 years, we can say that the national network of IUCRCs has started to make a dent in terms of workforce development, because the reality is, this year, it is projected there will be 3.4 million unfilled skilled technical worker jobs in the United States. That's a huge number. Now, if the IUCRC program will solve that problem, that'll be something, but you can at least start to make a dent, and that's the key. All right, so you send a message, other people will see what you're doing, and then the word gets out, and then it becomes a much bigger initiative than where it started. So please explore this actively in FY23. Next slide, please.
Awesome. Thank you both, Celeste and Prakash. So I just want to, before we ask Ranil and Tim to share some information with us, I want to share a couple slides with you to really encourage you within your center to start thinking about strategically how you leverage supplements, right? And so, if we look at the data over the past 5 years for IUCRCs and supplements, there's a lot of opportunity to leverage a broader range of supplements. So ultimately, we can support even a broader, more diverse range of students. So over 50% of the students that we funded over the past 5 years have been in REUs. So, one or two, right? So think about other opportunities across graduate students, across different cohorts, so across 2-year community colleges, right? So just think about how you leverage the different supplements to get a broader range of students. So most of the students we fund are through REUs. And if you look at the top chart, you'll see that most of the supplements we fund are REUs. So really, what's the opportunity in your center to think about how to leverage the range of supplements, right? One thing we know is that we have a lot of centers, and it's not quite the 80-20 rule, but it's pretty close to the 80-20 rule, right? These are anonymized. Don't look for your center name. It's not there. There's center numbers. This is the number of supplements for the past 5 years across all the centers that have participated, over 75 centers, right? There's a big old group up at the top of that chart, right? So 20% of the IUCRCs who participated in the past 5 years have gotten over 50% of the supplements and 55% of the supplemental dollars, right? So, take a look around the virtual screen, right? Some of your colleagues are really finding ways to leverage these supplements to support a broad range of students. And we would really encourage you to do the same thing. And so by that same token, if you take a look over the past 5 years, a lot of centers use one type of supplement, and I'm going to say that's typically REU, right? Very few centers leverage multiple different types of supplements, right? And we've had no center actually that's leveraged all 5 types of the supplements that we do. So again, consider all the available types of supplements. Think about a strategy for your center so you can offer a range of different experiences to the broadest, most diverse range of participants, right? And then finally, a couple of practical considerations, and we'll come back to this. So Camilo is going to put in the chat a link. Every PI for a site or a center was emailed by my colleague Prakash, an email on November 11th. Search your inbox for that date. November 11th has a very long list of all the available supplements. It has links. It has short guidelines. It requests a preview of you by the supplements, by the year end of the supplements that you're considering. This is an important email. Camilo is putting a link into the chat that takes you to some of that same information, but go back, search your inbox. You need to look at that email. It's important. You know, just start with an email or a dialogue with your cognizant program officer, right? You're interested in supplements? Which supplements? Talk to them, email them, find out what might work best for your center. And, you know, many of the supplements request you to reach out and provide a short description. So start there, but don't just say, hey, I want an REU, right? Think about strategically what you want to do. As a reminder, we fund the most meritorious submissions, right? So we are encouraging you, we want to see them, but they got to be good, right? And they got to be good both in intellectual merit and in broader impact. It's not enough for it just to be a cool project. It really has to do something along broader impact. And, you know, just a reminder, please be realistic with your timing, right? Allow sufficient time for the review. You know, some things take longer than others. In turn, you need to get an IP agreement in place. Typically takes a couple months. So remember that, and please don't ask, you know, submit something and ask for it because you've got a student starting in a couple weeks. And if possible, be flexible with your timing. So think about, you know, we have some budgetary considerations along the year. There may be an opportunity to fund something for the next semester. So think about that when you bring forward your supplements. All right, so that's all I have to say, and we have to say about supplements. Now, the really important aspect, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen, is hearing from your colleagues, right? So I want to ask, Dr. Tim and Renil, and we're going to talk to them a little bit about their experiences, right? Their experiences with supplements. And we specifically reached out to these two centers because they both have had a broad range of supplements and they've used a broad range of supplements. I will start maybe and ask each of you to introduce yourself, do a quick introduction and tell us the center that you're associated with. And Tim, I will start with you.
Hi, my name's Tim McLean. I was the founding director of the Center for Unmanned Aircraft Systems, which recently wound down. I'm involved with a new center called CAM, Center for Autonomous Air Mobility and Sensing. I'm at Brigham Young University, and I've really enjoyed being part of the IUCRC program.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. And how about you, Renil?
I'm Ranil Wickramasinghe. I'm a faculty member in chemical engineering. I'm Center Director of Membrane Science, Engineering and Technology, which goes by the acronym MAST Center. And we are phase 2 IUCRC that consists of 4 sites.
Awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to ask each of you, Renil, I'll start with you since you're chairing. Just give us a thumbnail sketch of what supplements have you used in your center? Why did you pick those? And which ones have worked well for you?
Did you want me to go first? I didn't hear that. Yeah, okay, sure. So University of Arkansas joined the MAST Center after it was already existing as a phase 1 center. And one of the things is Arkansas is an EPSCoR state. So a lot of these supplements have a lot to do with workforce development, as we've heard already. So it seemed to me like a really good idea to try and leverage the fact that we were getting all these industrial sponsors involved in our center to help with trying to educate potential students, undergraduates, high school students, in the opportunities that exist in membrane science and technology. And one of the driving forces was that a lot of our center focuses on bioseparations, which was really rather unheard of in Northwest Arkansas, not much biotech industry at the time. And so these supplements are really helpful. So we've looked at, as you had mentioned, REU supplements, more recently RET supplements to help middle schools and also community college teachers develop experiments. We've had an REM, a START. So they have really helped in, well, firstly, increasing visibility for the center, but also in pointing out opportunities in this area of bioseparations.
Thank you, Renil. Tim, how about you? What have you done in the centers that you've been involved with?
We've been involved in REU supplements, as you mentioned, perhaps the most common type of supplements. We've had several VRS supplements, several intern supplements. Most recently, we've had a START supplement at our Virginia Tech site. It was in collaboration with GeoTED UAS Advanced Technology Education Award recipient. And we've had, I guess we've attempted some RET supplements, but haven't been successful there.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be interesting to hear about. I have a question for you guys. We talk a lot about this is a great recruiting tool for students. I'm interested in if you are able to engage your IAB in the work of the supplements and or in the conversation about which supplements that you might pick. And so Tim, I'll ask you to kind of your experience with that.
With the supplements, we've engaged with our IAB most directly on the intern supplements. And for, I guess, 2 of the 3 that I'm aware of that happened at BYU, those were 2 of the 3 were with our IAB members. And so those ended up being a real kind of a strategic win, because the student has a great opportunity in terms of their career, future career development. The faculty member, in my case, I've done a couple of these. I've benefited by having some supplemental funding for a student. And of course, the industry partner benefits significantly because they're having a great chance to work with a student and essentially give a potential future employee a tryout. So we've certainly talked about in terms of the leveraging opportunities with NSF. We've marketed that pretty heavily to our IAB as, they're getting more bang for their buck as we do these supplements as well.
Awesome. Reneel, how about you? Does your IAB get involved?
Oh, yes. Actually, I think we have a very interactive IAB. That's a feature of our center. And so, yes, they're always asking us, how can we leverage more money from NSF? Sometimes they're not exactly sure how to leverage that, but they're very interested in this. And so one of the some that have worked particularly well, we had an undergraduate design project supplement. That was one that was directly with one of the IAB members. That helped a lot. Interns, we've leveraged quite a bit. And one, maybe I'll mention this one. This was quite interesting. We managed to get an intern between 2 of our sites. So there were 2 graduate students, and they were able to work at 3 different company sites. So it involved a lot of collaboration between companies and sites. And so that's really would not have been possible without the structure. And then certainly for the REM that we ran last year, a number of our IAB members, and they tended to be typically, we'd like to pick a role model. So a minority person or a woman who is in a position that we can talk about his or her career. They were very happy to get involved, and they helped with mentoring some of the projects. So yes, a lot of interest in this.
Awesome. I noticed that the hard part is, right, everybody is busy. And so sometimes people get excited about supplements, and sometimes people are like, wow, it's just a lot of extra work, right? And so how do I balance the extra work that comes along with the extra funding? So I'm interested from either of you, who sort of manages some of those supplements? Are you able to kind of spread the wealth among your center faculty? And how do you manage sort of the work that goes along with it? And Tim, I'll ask you maybe to start.
So first of all, I'll say we have a managing director in our center who does contribute to the management of some of these supplemental opportunities. But most of the effort in terms of managing what goes on with the supplemental opportunity falls upon the faculty PI that initiated the effort to receive the supplement. They also, of course, receive the primary benefit. They're one of the primary beneficiaries of the supplement as well. One thing that as I was thinking about this, I guess I haven't really felt that this was necessarily a burden to take advantage of these supplemental opportunities. I think of these supplements of ways of supporting our research ecosystem and fitting into our research ecosystem instead of being something else, right? And so, for example, we value experiential learning opportunities for undergraduate students. We think of them as potentially our future graduate students. And so, RAU funding makes a lot of sense to support that sort of initiative. And our undergrad researchers become part of our research teams. They're primarily mentored by grad students, but they also assist those graduate students. So There is some one-on-one mentoring with the faculty PIs, as you would hope and expect. But I don't view that as a burdensome amount, and students are having an excellent experience. And it's just kind of part of what we do. I mean, in my case, I meet with my research teams that involve graduate students and undergraduate students. I meet with them regularly and engage with them. And I would meet with them regardless of whether I had REU money or not. And so the REU money just provides additional opportunities for students to get involved. And there's always undergraduate students that are anxious to have these opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. How about you, Renil? How do you guys manage it? You got a multi,
Yeah, I would also,
supplements, multi-sites?
yeah, I would, so first thing, most of the stuff we have done, I give you the example of the intern. Most of that has been site specific, since these supplements actually go to sites. It's only more recently with the intern, and REM was the first time we ran it last time, but we're talking about in future trying to merge it with other sites, but they have been very much site specific at the moment. To answer your question about time, I think it's a really good opportunity to get more faculty involved in the IUCRC. And so I would agree with Tim. I don't consider it a burden as such. Of course, when you're looking for one of these supplements, it's important to make sure that you have the right people who can help you. So either faculty who are interested at your institution, but if you're doing something like a START or a REM, we work with community colleges and high school. It's very important to have faculty there who have an interest in say, developing closer links with the university, looking at developing new experiments and so forth. And if that's the case, then I don't think it's a huge burden in terms of workload. But if you didn't have that link, it's difficult. But in general, I would say our REUs, there are individual faculty who REU supplements who manage these. The REM, I had a colleague of mine who helped me manage it, so he's got quite involved with that. And so, yeah, I think it's a matter of involving more faculty, which is good for the center anyway.
Awesome. All right. Well, I want to remind folks that if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I want to ask Tim and Renil each one last question about a specific supplement that they've leveraged, and then we'll see about any questions from the group. Tim, I heard you mention that you've your centers leveraged the VRS supplement. Yes. So the Barron supplement, and if you think back to those charts we showed, that really is a supplement that isn't as leveraged as highly as some others. And my personal feeling is I think there's more opportunity there. So I wondered about the experience you've had with VRS and how your center has taken advantage of that.
So, our VRS supplements have gone primarily to individuals who had come to the university to continue their educations after their service in the military, or who were still engaged in the military but had opportunities to advance their educations. It's worked out, ideally, as they've come to the university, they've looked for opportunities to get involved in research, and they've gravitated to the research that we do. With that said, we really value the contributions of these veterans, their experience, expertise, and just broader perspective on the world. And so I guess we've been fortunate to have these students come to us and have these opportunities to help support them. With that said, we've also reached out to our ROTC units on campus.
Awesome, yeah.
And I would say that standard ROTC students don't qualify, and by standard I mean students who join ROTC as students and have not yet served active duty in the military and aren't considered veterans. But there are within our ROTC units veterans who've been placed in ROTC units to advance their military careers by pursuing education as well as officer training. And so in our case, we've been able to identify individuals who we were not aware of by visiting with our ROTC units and looking for veterans within those units.
Awesome. Thank you. Renil, I'm going to ask you to, since you were one of the early folks who did START, could you just speak to a minute about your START program?
Sure. So we had a START. Initially, it was this fairly, if you like, small scale. So this was the first year it was offered, which I guess was last year. Is that right? I've forgotten now. Yeah. And that involved two community college teachers. So Northwest Arkansas Community College is relatively close to us and is one that is almost categorized as minority Hispanic serving. It's close to the official definition, but there are a lot of minority students there. Also, University of Arkansas has close links with them, so it was a good way to start because we really would like to increase our visibility, try to encourage students to transfer to us or anywhere else, but also ensure that they're successful because a lot of transfers end up not being successful, unfortunately. So the good thing was that we therefore had two faculty with whom the university, we had quite a good relationship in the College of Engineering. So they were very enthusiastic about working with us. So that's how that took off. And the idea was to develop a bioseparations type experiment for them that they would take back to Northwest Arkansas Community College. So that was like a pilot, and that worked out really well, and that's now been established. And our new start is somewhat more ambitious. We have 4 students that we selected that are going to work for a year, again, developing various parts of these experiments that we would then install or help them set up and follow them and track them. And so basically it gets bioseparations into their program, which is something that we've been developing here. So that's how we developed that.
Awesome. Thank you, Reniel. And I just want to remind everybody, we talked about sort of 2 programs that are kind of more cohort driven, right? REM and START. So if you really have opportunities that involve 2-year institutions or community colleges, really think about START for that and think about REM for those programs that might be K through 12, other underserved groups within your academic institution, right? So there's really an opportunity to leverage the START program for those opportunities that are involved 2-year college students. So I'm going to thank Tim and Reniel, and we are going to look and see if there are questions from the group. And as we do that, we've got about 10 minutes left. My colleague Camilo is also going to launch a poll in the chat. And the poll is to get your opinion, right? How have these benefited you over the past year? And candidly, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do in 2023. Are we going to keep doing these? If we do, how will we do them and what will we talk about? So I really want your input on the poll as it relates to that. So while y'all are looking at the poll, I'm going to ask my colleague Rebecca if there are any questions from the chat that we want to ask Reniel and Tim.
Well, so some of these questions are asking about the details of the various supplement opportunities that may be better answered by NSF.
Yeah.
And then there was a back and forth sharing a successful effort to get support for biomedical students via NIH and raising a question about whether NSF and NIH might explore ways to collaborate on a supplement opportunity.
Interesting. I saw that in the chat as well. You guys got all kinds of great ideas in the chat. I don't know if we can answer that one here though. That might take a little bit more dialogue.
Probably not.
Might take a little bit more dialogue.
I can go through some of the other questions.
I think we should talk to Pepe and learn from him.
Yeah.
Since he
I
has
saw
been
one
so
about.
successful.
Well, I'm happy to just make a comment because we got recently NIH R25, which is for training in biomedical. It's about 800,000 for 5 years, so it's a really good program. And I believe that they're very interested in collaborations. I'm actually serving on one of the NIH councils, so I think that there's a lot of opportunity for collaboration between the agencies. So I will encourage our program directors to reach out. And I know you are doing in different ways, but this is a really good opportunity. They also have a new program for senior design projects. They have an award competition between 5K and 20K, I think. They have about 10 prizes, so that's a good start.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. That's Pepe, right? Thank you, Pepe. Thank you for that comment. And also thank you for your comment in the chat about the VRS supplement. That's another success story. Thank you for sharing that. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
I saw a question that was sort of about how do you, Tim or Reniel, if you guys could respond, how do you advertise the supplements, right? How do you make sure that you're getting, the students that you need or the students that you want? Do you have any specific tools or techniques at your institutions for sort of getting the broadest range of students? And actually, I say that because I saw a colleague of mine from another institution advertising in LinkedIn for students this morning. So I know that advertising and getting students is always a challenge.
So I could start if you like.
Yeah.
If you're focusing specifically on REM and START, these sort of where you have cohorts, our university does have a centralized system whereby we have various REU programs, so we can advertise through that. That's one way. In the case of START, though, we were going to work directly with Northwest Arkansas Community College. So the best way of advertising is if you know faculty there who can help you with trying to recruit students. That's by far the best way, because the thing is, as I think it was mentioned earlier, especially in community colleges, the students are typically non-traditional, so they have other jobs. And so in a way, you're competing with these jobs because they need the income. And so we really need to be early and we need to be competitive so that it's meaningful for them. And so it's important to have therefore faculty who know more about them. So that's the best way to advocate. If you just send an announcement or something, you usually won't get much traction. That's what we found.
Awesome. Thank you. How about you, Tim? What have you guys done to try to get a broad group of students?
Well, it's mainly networking, I would say. I mean, interacting with students in our courses, interacting with students who visit with us about research opportunities, and keeping an eye open for individuals that so that we have a broad representation of people with different backgrounds. That's the primary method, at least here at BYU, for kind of building cohorts. Is there, and I guess I would say we have a kind of a strong institutional support for experiential learning, and so students are always on the lookout for great opportunities. And so I guess I would say that the challenge is that, you know, we maybe look more broadly than just the students that are showing up at our door, and make sure we're reaching out to students who may be less inclined to interact directly.
Awesome. Thank you. We're getting kind of close to the end, and I know I have a couple closing comments. So before I do that, maybe I'm going to ask Tim and Real, if you just have any sort of advice, would you give to any of the other centers on sort of how to think about a portfolio of supplements, or kind of what to do to get started if they're kind of on maybe not a relatively new center, and how they would get started in working on supplements. And Reneal, maybe I'll ask you to comment first.
Okay, so I think they go in various categories. So intern supplements are really good with your IAB. We found that the IAB really like these, because as you train graduate students in projects that are relevant to the IAB, the intern supplement really helps, because in many ways they take their skills back to the company. You know, they end up being much more trained than many of the employees in the actual company. So that's the best way. But you need to advertise that to the IAB. When Prakash sends out his email, I always contact all our IAB members and say, okay, there's an opportunity. So that's with interns. With things like START and REM, I think you really need to you know, talk to your IAB, see who is interested in workforce development, but also it depends on your university, how it's linking up with other community colleges and so forth. But there are always opportunities. So I think it's mainly trying to see how they fit in, and then how that can be used to promote, because as was mentioned earlier, we have a lot of companies, a lot of industry participants, and it's really good to leverage that, so that then students from underrepresented groups can actually see people who have had successful careers in these areas, and also role models. So those would be my main points.
Awesome. Thank you, Reneal. How about you, Tim? What advice would you have?
For me, I think as you consider the opportunities, it's been great to hear about workforce development opportunities today. To me, it's always thinking about what aligns with our goals and objectives as a center. Do we have some areas where we need to shore up what we're doing? And I think outreach, and I mean, we all have that objective, or I shouldn't say we all have, this is an aspiration that many of us have, to do better at outreach, and here are our supplements from NSF that can help us do that. So my main advice is, as you look at the portfolio of opportunities with supplements, is to think about which of these supplements support your goals and objectives as a center or as an institution where you're at.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it. All right. I want to flash my the screen I had up before to just remind folks of a couple of things, right? So again, the practical aspects. You all received all the PIs, and thank you for somebody who put in the chat that went to the PIs, not the co-PIs. PIs received some information. So PIs, here's a tip, share it with the rest of the people in your center. Sent to has a lot of important information. So check that out, right? In addition, Camila, if you'll drop one more time in the chat, the link to that same information so folks can see that before we head off. But, you know, this is important information, right? There are a lot of different opportunities. There's a link to each opportunity. You know, there's a budgetary limit for each opportunity. There are some specific guidelines for what you need to send to your program officer. So first of all, take a look at the information and then sit and think about your center. And Tim, thank you so much for what you just said. Think about what is that strategy for your center. Every center is going to have a unique strategy and unique situation and a unique ecosystem. So think about what portfolio of supplements can best support your goals of your center and the goals for workforce development of your IAB as well. You know, reach out to your program officer, right? Reach out to them. You know, first of all, we want to hear what you're thinking. We've got budgetary plans as well. We don't have unlimited budget, right? So we have to make choices on supplements. So we need to know from your center what you're thinking about and, you know, what might be coming forward so we can help with that and also understand kind of, you know, what we have to think about in making our choices, and engage your IAB. Really think about that. Really encourage you to think about a portfolio of submissions, right? So just again, remember the slide that said, you know, 20% of the folks are getting 20% of the centers are getting 50% of the supplements and 50% of the dollars, right? It would be awesome to spread that out more. It would be awesome to see a broader range of students being supported. It would be awesome to see more different types of supplements happening, right? We want to have the broadest, most diverse portfolio of awards, of students, and of people that we're supporting. So think about this from a strategic and portfolio perspective. So with that being said, we are at 3:59. I want to thank Tim and Renil for their time, for their effort, for their support of the program. I want to thank my colleagues for the work they did, and especially my colleague Kevin Nguyen, who's on one of these many screens, who did that awesome data for us, one of my NSF colleagues. And I want to thank each of you for participating and for answering the poll. And if you didn't get a chance to answer the poll, send me an email, crleach@nsf.gov. We want to hear from you about what will be valuable and impactful for your center. That's the only reason that we want to do these meetings. So with that, I think we'll sign off. Thanks, Camila.
Thank you.
Thank you.